Jason.
When I turned around, there was my ex-wife with a young man. Noticing my gaze, my ex-wife smirked.
This is my husband.
She said.
I'm living a much wealthier life now compared to back then. You've been fired for disciplinary reasons, so you're probably making around $1,000 a month, right? How pitiful.
I was disgusted by my ex-wife's same old attitude. Yeah, right. Be happy, I said coldly and started to walk away. My name is Jason. I met my wife, Amy, at a top-tier IT company where I started working right after graduating. Back then, and even now, it has been a leading company in the industry with a heavy workload, and I was busy every day. In my third year, I was appointed as a project team leader, and my colleagues started saying I was on the fast track to promotion. Amy worked in the same department and often stayed late with me, showing concern for my busy schedule. I married Amy because I admired her caring nature, but the hectic workdays never allowed me to find solace at home.
Jason, I'm sorry. I quit my job. I apologize for not discussing it with you first.
She said this in a sweet voice soon after we got married. Is something wrong? I asked worriedly, sitting down next to Amy on the sofa.
No, I just couldn't manage both work and housework.
I looked around the room. Since our marriage, Amy had been transferred to a different department and should have been able to come home earlier than me. However, the room was cluttered with unfolded laundry and boxes of cosmetics Amy had ordered online. Amy seemed to struggle with housework, so even though I couldn't come home early due to work, I tried to take the initiative in doing household chores. Washing the dishes after meals. Running the washing machine at night and putting clothes in the dryer. Cleaning the bathroom. These were my jobs since I was the last one to take a bath. Every night, I cleaned the tub before getting out. Amy wasn't good at managing the stock of daily necessities either and often ran out of things, so I ended up managing that too. Honestly, it was tough because I got home late and had to cut down on sleep. But since Amy wasn't good at housework, it couldn't be helped. She prepared dinner, which I was very grateful for. I had heard my married female colleagues complain during breaks that cooking dinner was the hardest part of daily housework. Amy's mother, who lived nearby, also brought us side dishes sometimes. She was an excellent cook, and everything she made was delicious. So I told myself I was happy. I convinced myself of that. Still, I couldn't bring myself to look at Amy after she quit her job without consulting me. I was afraid I'd voice my fear about whether she truly loved me. This was when the cracks in our marriage started to show. Once Amy became a full-time housewife, my allowance was reduced due to our budget. Amy claimed,
I don't need an allowance since I'm not working. I'll just ask for money when I need it.
However, many things didn't sit right with me. While I was at work, Amy would go out for extravagant lunches with her friends or buy clothes. In contrast, I had to limit my lunch to $5 in the cafeteria to stay within my allowance. I wanted to join my colleagues at restaurants occasionally, but I couldn't afford it. The long work hours had me at my breaking point both mentally and physically. Even when I got home, there were household chores waiting for me. My eyes always hurt, and my eyelids felt heavy. Despite that, I have had trouble sleeping lately. The sources of my stress extended beyond Amy to her parents as well. During lunch break, as I was eating a sandwich I bought from the cafeteria at my desk, my personal phone rang. It was the number of Amy's mother. My head started aching immediately. I washed down the sandwich with some tea and picked up the phone. I stood in a corner of the hallway where no one could see me, took a deep breath, and answered the call.
It's about the bathroom renovation.
I was exhausted by Amy's mother starting the conversation so bluntly without any greeting. I'm sorry, but I'm at work right now. Amy is home, so could you call her instead?
What are you talking about? You're the one paying, right? The contractor called to say the payment is due by tomorrow, so I needed to tell you quickly. I gave the invoice to Amy when she came home. Thanks.
What? Didn't you just say it was for the toilet renovation?
Oh, that's separate. This is different. Amy told me you're getting a bonus next month, right? Your company is big, so this should be fine. Anyway, thanks.
Wait. Hold on a sec. The call abruptly ended. It felt like no matter how hard I worked, the money was being drained away. I felt a deep sense of emptiness about my uncontrollable life. I let out a big sigh. I felt a gaze and looked up to see a woman peeking out awkwardly from the door leading to the emergency stairs. She had apparently overheard my conversation.
Was that your mother-in-law again?
Her shoulder-length straight hair swayed gently. This wasn't the first time we had run into each other here. She often found me making phone calls in the hallway and always looked sheepish as she spoke to me. Her name was Emma. Although she was in a different department, she was a colleague and 2 years my junior, working as a programmer at our company. Through our numerous conversations, I learned this about her. I also discovered that Emma had a rather unique hobby. She loved looking at art museums, not for the art, but for the buildings themselves. She told me once that her family ran a real estate business, which sparked her interest in architecture from a young age. I said, "I'm beat," forcing a smile. Emma looked at me intently with her big eyes.
You don't look well. Are you sure you're okay? I'm worried you'll collapse. Are you just pretending to be fine?
I'm fine, really, I replied, waving my hand dismissively. I'm okay, really. It's nothing. Emma's eyes wavered.
Are you just telling yourself it's nothing?
Her words struck a chord with me. Still, all I could say was, I'm fine. I had to, or I wouldn't be able to cope with the mounting fatigue and stress. Even though I knew I was reaching my breaking point, I couldn't let go of the memories of the kind Amy from before our marriage.
Jason.
She peered at me worriedly as I zoned out, lost in thought despite my earlier assurances.
Here, take this.
She pulled out an orange juice from her small handbag and slipped it into my suit pocket.
Vitamin C is good for stress,
she said with a bright smile. Then, noticing that lunch break was nearly over, she added,
Oh, it's almost time.
And quickly walked away. I couldn't help but laugh, feeling a bit relieved. Holding the orange juice Emma had given me, I walked down the hallway with a light step. However, as soon as I returned to my desk, I sensed something was wrong. The atmosphere in the department was tense. The section chief had a serious expression as he spoke on the phone. The entire floor was buzzing, with everyone moving around busily. The section chief hung up the phone and our eyes met. His glare made me realize I must have done something wrong.
Jason, come here for a moment.
As he called out to me, all my colleagues turned to look at me at once. They whispered among themselves, clearly curious about what was happening. My face turned as white as a sheet, and I stumbled over to the section chief. An unusual tension filled the floor.
This is the system you designed, isn't it, Jason?
He pointed to the system design document for the restaurant loyalty card membership system. Yes, it's the new system we implemented last month.
40 million customer records have been leaked.
He interrupted my words with this bombshell. What?
From what I heard from the team members, the system's vulnerabilities were pointed out, but you delivered it without fixing them. Is that true? They're saying you prioritize progress. And you're the one who created the attached documents for this approval, right?
He thrust a pile of documents in front of me. It was true. I had made them. I had also supposedly fixed the system vulnerabilities. Had another vulnerability been found? I hadn't heard anything about it. Or had I really missed it? My exhausted brain raced with thoughts, trying to piece everything together. Seeing me at a loss for words, the section chief misunderstood and thought I was responsible.
Be prepared for appropriate disciplinary action,
he said sternly. In the end, I was held responsible as the team leader and was dismissed for misconduct.
Sorry, we can't back you up,
they said. But no one tried to overturn the decision that it was solely my fault. I tried to understand that everyone was desperately trying to protect themselves, but I was deeply disappointed with the company and accepted the dismissal. When I got home and told my wife, Amy, she fell silent. Amy? I called out, and she glared at me.
I'm divorcing you.
Wait. I'll find another job.
Another job? What company would hire someone who was dismissed for misconduct? I married you because you were on the fast track at a major corporation. I got a job there as a temp just to marry a promising man. My dream was to be a stay-at-home wife. Dismissed for misconduct? You fool. Are you an idiot? Why did I marry you in the first place?
Amy's hysterical rant made her face look grotesquely distorted, like a demon. Amy used to always be smiling and willingly took on various tasks for her colleagues when we worked at the same company. She seemed like a completely different person. While I fully understand that I'm at fault for being dismissed, I was shocked by Amy's true nature. I never knew she could be like this. Fine. Let's get a divorce, I said.
I'll get plenty of compensation. And you'll pay for the renovation of my parents' house, okay? That'll be included in the compensation.
With that, she threw the invoice that had been on the dining table at me. I picked up the fallen invoice from the floor. I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. That very day, Amy went back to her parents' house. Later, divorce papers and a compensation claim were sent by mail, and I stamped the divorce papers alone in the now empty room. We bought this house when we got married. It was in my name, so technically, I could choose to continue living here. But it was too big for just me. I decided to put it up for sale and split the money. It seemed Amy just wanted the money and had no intention of doing anything else. I realized how difficult it was to have an amicable divorce. As I searched online for a real estate agent to sell the house, I remembered that my colleague Emma's family runs a real estate agency. I thought it might be easier to handle the sale process with someone familiar with the situation of my divorce. So, I emailed Emma. I received a quick reply from Emma. She was sympathetic and offered to help. We arranged to visit her family's real estate company together on Sunday. Emma's parents' real estate agency was a well-known major company. Thanks to Emma subtly mentioning to them that I was going through a divorce and wanted to sell the house, the process went smoothly without delving too much into the reasons for selling. Then, unexpectedly, I received a surprising offer.
I've heard a lot from Emma. Finding a new job must be tough. If you're interested, how about working with us?
Really? But why me?
Emma speaks highly of you, so I got interested.
With a smile across the counter, Emma's father said that. Sitting next to him, Emma's face turned red as she quickly replied.
Jason is known for being diligent and hardworking, and he talks to me without any bias, even though I feel out of place in the office.
Out of place in the office? I didn't know Emma felt that way. I was exhausted both at work and at home, and I didn't consider myself as serious and kind as Emma described, so it was very surprising. Anyway, I was grateful that there were people willing to hire someone like me. Without hesitation, I accepted the offer. After settling the relocation and divorce procedures, I began working at the real estate company owned by Emma's parents. Emma's father hired me as an accountant, wanting me to gain knowledge about the real estate business. During the pre-employment interview, he mentioned that he would be glad if I could utilize my previous experience as a systems engineer. My background in economics from university and my acquisition of financial accounting and reporting during my student days proved to be helpful. Although Emma's parents' real estate company was a major player, there was no department that perfectly matched my background in IT as they outsourced their IT department. Still, I constantly strive to integrate my knowledge of real estate and IT to meet Emma's father's expectations. Even though I was hired with Emma's recommendation, I wanted to be recognized as someone who could contribute to the company effectively. I wanted to prove that through sincere and diligent work, I could achieve recognition and rewards. Years later, I transferred from the accounting department to the finance department. Within the finance department, I worked in a specialized unit called the IT Strategy Consulting Team. Since joining this company, I've been thinking constantly. After much deliberation, I came to the conclusion that to contribute to the company while leveraging my knowledge of IT and learning about business management in the real estate industry, I needed to become an IT consultant. As I diligently studied every day, I gradually became able to voice my opinions to Emma's father, even as an IT consultant. My suggestions started to be adopted little by little, leading to cost savings in the outsourced IT department. I was entrusted with detailed tasks such as cost-benefit analysis of the new real estate management system and developing specific implementation schedules. And through my work, I earned the trust of Emma's father. This was the result of my sincere and diligent approach to work. The IT Strategy Consulting Team was formed based on my efforts. I was grateful to Emma's father. Despite my past dismissal, he evaluated my work since I joined here. Emma's mother also welcomed me, rather than opposing my joining the company. I was also grateful to Emma. With her cheerful and sincere remarks, she lightened my serious thoughts. Now, Emma has become an irreplaceable presence in my life. Some of my friends who spent student days together stayed by my side, and we would occasionally go out for drinks together. One of my friends got a job at a TV company and sometimes invited me to appear as an expert on segments about real estate XIT on their programs. Later, my serious approach to commentary became a topic of interest, and I started receiving offers from various shows. I was grateful for that. I was surrounded by warm-hearted people. Of course, There were those who criticized my dismissal, but instead of getting caught up in that, I focused on the kind people around me. I owed this perspective to Emma. I want to repay the kindness I've received so far. To give back a little, I invited Emma and her parents to a French restaurant to enjoy a leisurely meal.
Oh my, what a beautiful building.
Emma's mother, who looked just like Emma, gazed in admiration at the restaurant's exterior as soon as we arrived.
Mom! Hurry up! Jason is treating us to a delicious meal.
With Emma urging us, we stepped inside the restaurant. We were shown to a private room and enjoyed the full-course French meal I had reserved. The dishes included soup made with fresh shellfish, meat, and appetizers using seasonal vegetables. The dessert was mango sorbet with fruit pieces, which had just the right amount of sweetness and a refreshing taste. Each dish was beautifully presented and made it a feast for the eyes as well. Seeing the satisfied faces of Emma and her family made me happy. Since I had prepared a bouquet as a surprise, I excused myself to go to the restroom and stepped out of the private room. At that moment,
Jason.
When I turned around, there stood my ex-wife, Amy, with a young man beside her. Amy noticed my gaze and said with a triumphant look,
"This is my husband."
Even though she said that, I felt no emotion.
I'm living a much wealthier life than before. I'm glad I left you. My current husband takes me to such fancy restaurants so often that I'm tired of them. He makes my dream of being a housewife come true.
Her husband stood next to her, looking quite pleased. Amy snorted with a proud expression arrogantly. I was exasperated by her attitude, which hadn't changed at all. Nonetheless, Amy continued to babble on.
Still, I never expected to run into you in a place like this. Are you sure you're not overextending yourself by coming to a high-end restaurant, Jason? I mean, you're probably making at most $1,000 a month from your part-time job, right? Poor thing.
I realized it would be difficult for Amy to understand that if we worked diligently and sincerely, there were people who would recognize and appreciate our efforts. Of course, I had no intention of making her understand. Yeah, you're right. Be happy, I said coldly, and tried to walk away.
You have to say it properly.
I heard Emma's voice from behind me. She had come to find me, worried because I hadn't returned for a while. Emma was staring at Amy with eyes burning with anger.
Jason is a wonderful person with an honest character who works diligently and sincerely. He's indispensable to my parents' company. And to me as well. Jason appears on TV and promotes our company. Thanks to him, my parents' company has grown rapidly. If making money is so impressive, then Jason is even more impressive.
With that, Emma boldly announced my monthly income of last month in the restaurant hallway. If this were a comic book, it would probably have a bam sound effect. Emma stood with her hands on her hips, striking a defiant pose. I couldn't help but think how cute she looked. That amount is a bit too personal to mention. But thank you, I said and turned back to Amy. Amy and her husband were stunned, unable to find any words. It seems we didn't share the same values. I realize now that it was foolish of me to marry you without seeing that. We're each on our own paths now, and I didn't think there was anything left to say, but I'll be clear, I am earning well, and I have people around me who understand me. I am happier now than I ever was when I was married to you. Amy suddenly snapped out of it and ran towards me.
I'm sorry. I was wrong. I must have been out of my mind back then. I couldn't trust you anymore. But still, you're amazing. You're making more than 10 times what my husband does. Can you give me your contact info? Please? Pretty please?
Even though Amy suddenly seemed remorseful, I wasn't going to be fooled anymore. Her husband was angry, shouting at her.
Hey, what are you saying?
Despite his anger, Amy continued to cling to me. I looked at her with disdain and said, "It's over between us. I don't want to talk to you anymore." I don't know what happened to Amy and her husband after that. But seeing the situation, it was not hard to imagine that things wouldn't go well between them now that her true nature was revealed. Emma and I returned to her parents, and I successfully presented them with the bouquet of appreciation. Her parents were genuinely delighted to receive it.
Thank you. This may be a bit forward, but we would be very happy if you considered marrying Emma. We won't interfere in your relationship, but seeing you two together, you make such a lovely couple.
I love Emma. Marrying her would make me very happy. But as you know, I have a divorce history. I feel guilty about that, given that this would be Emma's first marriage. I glanced at Emma, who was sitting next to me. Her parents' words made me blurt out the feelings I had kept hidden in my heart. My heart was pounding. Emma was facing forward, looking like she was about to cry. I couldn't read her expression, which made me anxious.
Oh my, you two haven't even started dating yet? We'll leave now, so you two can talk.
After Emma's parents left, I tried to speak to her. Both of us simultaneously said, Emma, her face red and her eyes teary, said,
You go first.
"Well, then." Emma interrupted.
Wait! Actually, let me go first.
With her eyes tightly shut, she declared loudly,
Jason, I love you. Please marry me.
"Wow, Emma, on the verge of tears, cried out.
Oh no. Is that a no?
Her expression was so endearing and funny that I was filled with the urge to hug her. No, no, no. Sorry. It's just that you said it first, and it caught me off guard.
Oh, I see.
Emma said and got relieved with a smile. I cleared my throat and straightened up. Emma, will you marry me?
Yes.
On a sunny Sunday, we held our wedding. Many friends attended, and I felt profoundly grateful for the support of those around us. The wedding photographer signaled.
Now, let's take a picture.
With the clear blue sky and the church in the background, Emma, our parents, friends, and I stood in a line. Emma and I were smiling happily. I vowed to myself to always protect Emma's happiness as she smiled beside me.